Okay. Hey, for reals this time. Thank you for your patience with me at the end of our last presentation. We are so lucky, and I'm excited to hear from and connect with just an incredible coach I'm about to introduce you to. Remember that if you find things are triggering, you can always take breaks, get a drink of water, move your body, take care of yourself throughout the whole process of this Love You Now conference, because that's the point, to love you now, right? Even while we're in the middle of this conference. So let me introduce you to Amie. I've been following Amie and just stalking her for so long. And then this year I've gotten to know her, and of course, fast friends, right? That's how it is. And what do we call it? Like the best worst club, right? Welcome to the best worst club. None of us wanted to be here. None of us asked for this. None of us did anything to get into this club. We didn't do anything wrong to get here. And yet the best people are here to catch us when we fall. And Amie's
The
one of those
most
people.
authentic people.
Yes, the most authentic, because we can't hide our crazy, right?
Because you're done hiding.
Yeah, we're done hiding. Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Amie to you guys real quick, and then I'll just, she could take it away. But Amie is a certified betrayal trauma life coach with profound expertise in supporting individuals facing abuse and divorce. She's a skilled brain spotting practitioner, and we've mentioned brain spotting throughout this presentation, throughout this conference. Amie's approach encompasses holistic healing, addressing the mind, heart, and body. She's experienced betrayal herself. She may share a bit of her story. And she is passionate about empowering individuals who are considering divorce and guiding them towards an empowered divorce if that's in their future. And her empowered approach focuses on cultivating resilience, self-compassion, and strength throughout that process. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself more if you'd like to, Amie, but we are going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. This is so fun. This has been so fun to prepare for and really think about all of the women or men that are showing up to this conference. And the moment you asked me to do it and I saw the name, like Love You Now, I knew exactly what I was going to talk about, because I think that's the thing that a lot of, and I generally work with women, but I do work with men who are betrayed partners also.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that betrayed women are most concerned about is things outside of themselves. And I love just showing, like, let's just slow it down. I'm going to talk about that today. Let's slow it down, bring it back, and really just connect with you, turn towards you, and maybe learn to like you before you love you. Love you might be a stretch right now, but we'll get there. But
So
I'm
true.
just, I love the title. And so far, the presentations have been awesome. So I'm going to jump right into it. Let me put, all right. So, again, I really do hope that you have felt uplifted through the conference so far, feeling maybe a little bit more hope. And my goal really is to add to that today. I am thrilled to have the opportunity to share with you 3 powerful principles that I have found really helpful in my own healing journey, as well in the lives of women and men that I work with. So first of all, just how many of you here today have been working really, really hard, doing all the things to try and find ways to hold on, hold your marriage together, keep everybody together, and you are exhausted? And that's what I've titled it today, is what do you do when you've exhausted all of those options? When you feel like you are just running out of options, or you feel scared of those options, or perhaps you don't even know how you'd move forward with the options that you do have. So hang in there with me today, because I believe what I have to share might not be what you've expected me to talk about with that Empowered Divorce title. Okay, but first, I want to get something out of the way. Okay, I'm going to say a bad word, Bailey.
You can say all the bad words,
Okay,
Amie.
I'm going to say a bad word. Perhaps many of you listening think it's a bad word. Maybe some of you are scared of this word. Maybe you've been told it's a word that you shouldn't ever, ever, ever bring up. or that it's unrighteous word, or a word that you never ever imagined you would need to know anything about. But I'm just going to say it. Divorce. Okay, I said it. Got it out of the way. Now, I am not going to say this word again until the very end of the presentation, and I will warn you beforehand. And I know, like, weird. I'm the empowered divorce coach, so why won't I be talking about divorce the whole time? Well, I'm going to tell you why, but first, I want to show you something. Okay, this is me and my beautiful sisters, and I only block their faces for privacy. But this picture was taken about 2 years before I left my husband in 2014. And I'm smiling, right? But this is not my real smile. And on the inside, I'm crumbling. I felt dead, actually, numb, exhausted, disconnected. You'll notice that my hair is blonde in that picture. He liked blondes. I didn't even dress myself in this picture. I couldn't buy clothes for myself because I didn't even know what I liked to wear anymore. So I'd like walk into a store and just like freeze and then turn around and walk out. It was hard for me to even think about myself, know myself. Those beads aren't even mine, like nothing. I cried in the bathroom between family pictures, and I'm holding a really big secret here from my family. And my husband is hiding an even bigger secret from me here. But as I sat there, fake smiling and feeling dead inside, really envying those around me who didn't know any different, in that moment, I did not believe that I had options. I felt out of options in trying to make myself into something that I wanted, out of options to try and get him to change. But as I sat in the middle of my beautiful sisters and just fake smiled, I really want to talk to those of you who can relate. And I just want you to know that I see you and you are not alone. Now, again, just because I'm the empowered divorce coach does not also mean that I coach men and women out of their marriages. That is no one's decision but yours. And if that decision is or has been made for you by your partner, I still believe that having an empowered divorce really it just means that radical accepting what is. We'll get that to that another day. But before we do any actions, before we make any big decisions, before the doing part, I really believe that all of you here know how to do hard things. Like I'll say that to my clients. I'm like, look, I know you can do hard things. You can lift a freaking building if you want to. This isn't about you not being willing to do hard things, but let's just slow it down and back it up and bring some awareness back towards you. Because the exhausted you most likely means a you that has lost you've lost sight of yourself, and probably for a long time, that it's that you that has not been heard or seen or stopped taking up his or her space in the world and in your relationship. You've been giving everything to yourself, to this marriage, to your partner. So I want to invite you to show kindness, and maybe that feels really foreign. I have been there, and I am so sorry that you are experiencing this. I do know there is hope and healing. So really quickly, I don't like talking about myself. I really want to talk about you and give you these tools, but who the heck are you listening to today? Hey, so who am I? Like Kaylee said, I am a certified betrayal trauma coach. I do specialize and have experience with abuse and divorce. And I am a brain spotting practitioner. I love, love, love utilizing this modality to help somatically, like the body heal. I actually love doing work with couples who are in recovery in that rebuilding phase. I really like helping them learn to cultivate healthy intimacy after betrayal. But mainly, I love helping people learn how to cultivate that within themselves first. I am an APSATS candidate, which stands for the Association of Partners of Sex Addicts Trauma Specialists. And I'm surprised I said that without spitting. I always have to wait, what is that? The acronym there? But I really am proud of that training and the professional affiliations there as well. I was married for 18 years. I have 4 amazing children. And in 2014, myself and those amazing children, we left the life that we knew, a home we enjoyed, people we loved, and we drove across the states to stay with my parents, hoping that this like 2x4 effect move across the states, along with 3 very clear boundaries and requests that I hoped would like knock my husband at the time up the side of the head and wake him up, that he would just start like getting the help and healing so that I would feel safe enough so that I could go back to keep trying to make things work. I'm going to pause. Did anyone catch what I just said right there? So that I could feel safe enough to keep trying to make things work. Interesting. Who can relate to being the only one who is trying with actual actions to make things work? It's exhausting when you are the only one trying to hold that entire marriage and family up. And the truth was, I had been trying for years to make it work by overlooking destructive and abusive behaviors, addiction, betrayal, and trying to be better, be more Christ-like, be more loving, more sexual, skinnier, different hair color, just be more, right? In order to make things work in our marriage. So much so that I lost sight of myself in the process and I had lost me. But things did not change, fortunately, that I had prayed for, begged for, cried for. And so, sharing my screen. Soon after that, my kids and I were starting over in sunny Arizona. And it was time to grow something new, something healthy, someone healthy, me. But I had no idea how to do that. Okay, this was the first family photo as single moi. This was a very emotional day. It was a crappy day, actually. I cried before, during, and after. Notice the pattern. My family also had their siblings, the oldest of 7, so all their families, spouses had their pictures taken, and the insecurity and the shame was so thick at this time for me. Like, I'm the odd one out, I'm the only one divorced, I'm a failure. But look, I'm smiling there too. And this is the smile of a woman who is holding it all together on her shoulders and still not totally sure about herself, but she's trying. And you can see I'm slowly letting go of the blonde, baby steps. Okay. Now, a few years later, this is a photo shoot that I actually asked a dear friend of mine to do. Like, I actually wanted it. And I was starting to figure it out. I was starting to figure me out. And I'm back to my natural hair color. My smile is back. Like, this is my smile. This is a smile of a single woman. And she has stepped into practicing having an empowered divorce. Now, life, I mean, was still full of challenges, right? Abuse post divorce did not stop. I was navigating the hard, but it was my hard. And I felt more like myself than I had in decades. Big difference in a smile, right? Okay, now fast forward another few years. I have since remarried. We just celebrated our 5th anniversary. I have 3 stepkids and now have entered the holy grail of grandmotherhood. Oh my gosh. It is the best in the entire world. Okay, I really am very passionate about helping women and men navigate their journey, whatever you choose and wherever that choice takes you, but from a place of empowerment, conscious choice, or as I call it, your agent power mode. So I just feel like a superhero when I say that. But the focus with this brief journey of me down the journey quickly of what I looked like, that evolution, really is not about the circumstances. Okay. We can get really caught up and stuck there, right? We get caught up and stuck making decisions because our human brain wants to know what that future looks like. I did not know what this future looked like. This picture right here, there was no way I could have even comprehended this picture in my brain. It did not know what was possible. If I had been waiting to see this picture in my head, I would have never made that next right step. So, waiting for your human brain to try and come up with this perfectly happy picture of what your future might look like if you make that decision, in order for you to make that decision, it's just not how brains work. Because no matter what that circumstance is, no matter what choice you make, I want you to know that it all starts with a choice, but choose you. Choose to see you, hear you, believe you, like you, trust you, be you. Like I said earlier, we can work on loving you another day. That might be pushing it. But do you like you right now? Do you like the way that you're choosing to live? You might be really, really exhausted. How many of you are feeling exhausted because you've been trying and trying and trying? You might feel a little healing. You might feel a little forgiving. You might start feeling some connection, and then you might think you're moving forward, and then you're right back to exhaustion. Just notice if that's the pattern right now. How many of you are here at this conference this entire week, hoping that you will hear something that perhaps you've never heard before, right? Oh, I want to hear that one thing. And maybe it's that one thing that I've been missing this whole time. Oh my gosh, right? Like, that's it. And now he will change or she will change, whatever. Because if they change, then you'll be fine, right? Everything will be fine. It's all fine. About a year after I had left and made relationship changes, I started a journal. It was just this little book, and I titled it Lessons Learned. And I used that every time I would be like, lesson learned, because that's part of the process. How your brain just starts to, recognize, oh, that's what that was. So I would just jot it down in this book. And this is the first lesson that I had jotted down in my little journal. I've painfully and heartbreakingly learned that I can't love someone enough, change myself enough, pray hard enough, beg and plead enough, cry enough, yell enough, control enough, or even contort my body sexually enough to get him to choose change, to choose healthy, and to choose me. Lesson number 2. I am learning that I actually get to choose. Maybe I'll choose me. So I learned to accept that despite his choices, or not making choices in most cases, I was and had been enough no matter what. So today, I'd like to offer 3 concepts to help you choose. You choose to believe that you are trying enough, doing enough, loving enough, and are enough just as you are right now, no matter what your partner chooses or doesn't choose. I want you to be able to walk away with tools that you can start practicing and implementing today. I love learning things where I can be like, okay, I think I can do that. It's easy enough. It's simple enough. I think I can wrap my head around that. Okay, so these things that I'm going to offer you, again, it's just going to help you kind of sort through all of the rubble that has happened because of betrayal, help you just really gain a sense of what your reality is right now. I love curiosity. I love the word interesting. It's my favorite word. It really helps me create a little bit of distance and space between like a really hard emotion. If I just notice something and I go, oh, interesting. It's almost like I separate me, like my higher self, from that circumstance or emotion, and I can drop into that curiosity a little bit better. So I just want to invite you to stay curious today. See how maybe your brain is resisting, avoiding, or reacting the concepts that I share. And that's okay. Just interesting, right? And just invite you to really release any of that self-judgment or shame that might show up. Okay, how many of you like trees? I want to invite you all to put like your favorite tree in the chat. This one right here is the aspen. It is my favorite. I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. But Haley, I don't know if you can see the chat. Just let me know who's.
Yes. I will. I commented, and before you said, I said, me, a quaking aspen's my favorite tree. matching,
Yeah.
matching, tree. I don't see any other people commenting, but you guys are welcome to comment your favorite trees.
I love trees. I love nature, all of it. But
Mm.
I really love trees. And this one, this is the latest picture that I took when I was in the mountains surrounded by them. Oh my gosh. But the science and the structure of this tree is so symbolic to not only my betrayal and healing experience, but I really imagine yours too. So,
Yes, 100%. Yes.
right? It is fascinating. I'm going to go over
Yeah.
that in just a minute. Okay, here are the 3 pillars. So, I'm going to use the structure of the aspen tree to really give you a visual of those principles, but
Oh,
I'm
pause real
offering.
quick. We do have some people saying sequoia, magnolia. It's just wanted people are saying their trees.
Oh, I love it. I love the
Love
magnolia.
it.
We're trying to get some in our
Mhm.
yard, actually. Beautiful. Okay, these are the 3 principles that I'm going to talk about that I want to really highlight. And okay, so experiencing betrayal from your intimate partner shatters you from everything inside you and everything around you. Everything you once knew just gone. And so much is burned up. And many of you might be feeling burned in every area of your life, like these trees, your dreams burned up, your ideals of what you thought your life and marriage was and what you hoped it would be, your values, your faith, perhaps even your belief about God burned, maybe even feeling burned by what were supposed to be friends, confidants, supporters, even family members. Just like these trees that fall to the ground and seem dead. Honestly, for me, there was a time when I just wanted to lie down and let the earth swallow me up, just like these trees. This, like this aspen forest that you see here, the tree and the branches, they all disconnect from the roots and the trunk. They all topple over. Betrayal trauma and betrayal violence disconnects you from your roots, your brain and body and emotions, and all that goes with it toppled over. Your body is no longer being paid attention to. And so that trauma response, fight, flight, freeze, shuts down vagal nerve, emotions are dysregulated, your brain is foggy, and many of you have lost sight of who you really are due to that separation of your roots. But the aspen tree has an incredible superpower. The roots of the aspen they're part of this unique system. And as you look at this picture, like they have a vast network of other interconnected roots. And it's because of that root system that the tree can regrow. It's a rebirth. So they're not really dead. These trees sprout new growth and emerge from the rubble of that burned forest fire. And here's the most important and amazing part of you is that your root system has a vast network of interconnections that also support your new growth. And if you do not hear anything else that I say here today, please just hear this. Your root system, which is your spirit, your soul, your higher self, did not die. You are part of a unique network of other interconnected roots that will help you regrow, renew, and thrive. You are not your trauma. You are not your experiences as a human. Who you are is 100% of worth and value and infinitely lovable no matter what. You are enough just as you are. I believe that our root system goes back to the ancestors that have gone before us, women who knew you, and women who have also been burned to the ground from their human experiences of trauma. They didn't have these resources. And I believe that we aren't just healing ourselves, we are healing future generations and past. And for me, they've given me strength. And I believe that if you desire it, they can give you strength too. When you've exhausted all of your efforts to put out that fire that you didn't start, but it just keeps burning and getting bigger and bigger, there comes a time when there might just not be anything left to save. And it's not because you didn't do enough to save it. It's because the fire was started to begin with, and you might not have seen the flames until much later than perhaps savable. And that's not on you either. those abusive behaviors in communication to keep you from knowing was dangerous to your entire system. So when you're exhausted, we need to start becoming aware. And that's that first pillar. So the first pillar of your root system, okay, remember the roots of the aspen tree. It's this hidden strength that's underground. This is the stabilization. This is the support that is required for you to heal and grow. And yes, whether you stay or go in the relationship, this is where you start healing. Turn this off for a sec. I had left for my parents' house across the states, and when my kids and I had arrived, I collapsed into their arms. I felt safe. I hadn't felt safe in a long time. I was connected with my roots that supported me in that moment and held me up and gave me that nourishment. Now, unfortunately, at that time, it was years ago. So, really, no professionals were naming my experience. Betrayal trauma therapists and coaches weren't really around me or talked about. No support groups, no conferences amazing like this at all. Yes, I still had a root system that was capable of healing, and so do you. So awareness right now, it's the root level. And this looks like awareness of your body. Go back to sharing. Your body, your emotions, your human brain, and your higher self. So let's just start with your body awareness. I know Roxanne talked a lot about this. And I just want to echo what she was talking about too. Like, this is so important. And I love kind of like parting ourselves out, like she was talking about with IFS. I love just parting it out to those 4 parts, though, just body, emotions, human brain, and you, your higher self. Feels a little less overwhelming when I can just look at it in those 4 circles, 4 containers. Because remember, that trauma disconnects you. And so, in order to reconnect and realign and regrow, we want to start paying attention to those different parts. And I like breaking it up that way too, because it can be really overwhelming to try and be aware of all of it. And so, we're again just going to slow it down. I'm actually really curious, and feel free to put in the chat too, but maybe some of you have had like chronic pain or physical body pains that can't often be tested or explained by a doctor, autoimmune diseases, random like back pain, pelvis pain. This really gets ignored because if the fire is coming at you, right, or you're waiting to see if a match is going to get lit again, then you're not paying attention to your body in those moments. So if that's been going on for years, you've been for years not paying attention to your body, and then we get chronic pain. We get autoimmune diseases. So one of the tools that I love to use to help with this awareness of body, I call it a body scan. I noticed that Roxanne kind of walked you all through one as well, so I won't repeat that. But I will say, and I do it a little bit different. Really, it's just awareness. We're not changing anything. We're not trying to judge anything. We're just scanning the body from head to toe. And you can do this in 5 minutes or 30 minutes, and you can do this anywhere. I love how my clients have been really creative. Like they do it sitting in the carpool line while driving their kids to football practice, in the shower. I have one on the toilet. Like, they get really creative, but you really just, when you have a moment, take time to scan your body from head to toe. I was doing a body scan a little while ago, and I had gotten all the way down to my toes, and I realized that my toes were scrunched. I didn't recognize that before I did the body scan. And I thought, well, that's interesting. There's my word. And I didn't even unscrunch them. I just kind of like noticed it and left it there. And that's what you're going to do, is you're going to just notice what is showing up that you might not have seen before. Okay, on this slide, I have feelingswheel.com. If you do not have this printed out somewhere on your fridge, on your phone, do it. Feelingswheel.com. Because the next step, when you notice a sensation in your body, we're going to give it a name. And the name is the emotion. And so you want to start getting familiar with the names of those emotions. Remember, emotions are information, and that information is sent through your body by anabolic or catabolic energy. It's neither bad, good, right, wrong. And it all just holds different information. So healing is also about developing that emotional awareness because it empowers you to feel it. And then you can respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. Okay, so let's get back to my scrunched toes that I became aware of. So toes are scrunched, and that's the body sensation. Now I'm getting curious about what emotion describes what I'm noticing in my toes. And I felt out of control in that moment. So stress. And all the stress energy was going to my toes. And because emotion is information, I asked that stress part in my toes, what do you want me to know? Why did you show up? Or what do you think you're protecting me from? And for me in that moment, stress showed up because I was driving with my 15-year-old son. I was not in the driver's seat. Interesting. And I'm not blaming him or judging me, but when I can't press the brakes in the car like I want to, my stress goes up and my toes were scrunched. Okay, I'm using that example that just isn't that emotionally charged up because I know that what you all are experiencing right now is more emotionally charged than that. But I really want you to see kind of how this awareness process slowed down looks from front to end. Because when I work with my clients, I can see places and ways that they get stuck in this process of awareness, whether that's stuck because all they're doing is learning and gaining knowledge or teaching their partner, helping their partner understand recovery. Yes, knowledge is valuable. It's why you're here today. And without the acceptance and agency, you're not actually moving forward or accessing that agent power mode. Other ways that I see clients get stuck here is the overthinking, kind of analysis paralysis, like they're thinking and thinking and thinking about everything. And then they get stuck in that loop of examining their thoughts without processing. And then a really big one is that perfectionism. It just keeps you stuck when you're striving for perfect healing, perfect information, perfect immediate results of the hard work. Like you will get stuck. So having a professional help you notice where your human brain is keeping you stuck in these different phases can really just provide so much valuable support. Okay, so let's just take a moment and take a deep breath. Like I said, was going to have you do a body scan, but I'm just going to have you take a couple deep breaths. And if you want to just bring your attention to your body, maybe just notice some main parts, your chest, your jaw, and just see what you're aware of. And what's interesting too is when I even said, like, bring your awareness and attention to your body, did you notice some resistance to that? Were you like, geez, don't make me do another body scan? Stop this. And that is what you're doing here in this phase, is noticing that. Like, oh, there's some resistance here. Oh, I don't really want to do that. Interesting. There's the word. So again, feel free to put in the chat what you're experiencing there.
I was going to interrupt you quickly. Not really, but just, I love that word interesting as well. And we use that a lot. And at our retreat, we go, interesting data. That's like our goofy way to say it. Like ready to make some water bottle stickers. Interesting data, right? Just it helps us with the other person, with ourselves. It creates that space. I love that.
Yes, it really gets you out of that judgment, shame, and blame, and just give a little space. It works. It works. You can use another word, but that one works for me.
It works good. Yeah.
So yeah, just notice and be aware. Okay, let me move on. If you're ready in this phase of awareness, you can also, because we're all in different spaces, but just a few more thoughts in this awareness phase, in this pillar, that can also look like practicing to have awareness around your financial situation, your support system, your strengths, talents, what else is on there? Education, job opportunities, legal support, aware of uh, other legal arrangements, possibilities, right? Just kind of give you an idea of other things that you can just be aware of and remind your brain that we are in this pillar, not the agency pillar. You might have to remind your brain a lot. That's okay. All right. The next one is acceptance. I first just want to clarify that we are talking about acceptance, not approval. And I teach 2 stages in the acceptance pillar: foundational acceptance and transformational. First of all, without acceptance of things as they really are, you stay stuck in that emotional disconnect. Loss of trust it just can't be rebuilt when you're on false reality. Patterns, often those unhealthy ones, are not acknowledged or addressed when you don't see things as they really are. And when you're in that state, you can think things like, well, maybe things will just change with time. Or what if he changes and then I miss out on that change? I have to keep trying. I'm not a quitter. I can't rock the boat. Or look, this is just how things are. And I'm trying to come to terms with it. All of these thoughts, I definitely thought and said more than once. But what you're doing here is minimizing your feelings and your experience with the destructive behaviors and communication. And this is how you stay also like in control when everything, well, I air quote, in control when things feel very out of control. So foundational acceptance begins with seeing the current state of your marriage. It's acknowledging the time that you have spent. It's acknowledging like all of the thoughts and feelings and parts of the self in awareness. You're bringing it over here and you're just like, okay, this is what it is. Because again, sometimes we acknowledge or like, yeah, I'm feeling sad now. Let me just think positive and make it go away. We miss this middle pillar. Acceptance, like change cannot happen unless you accept what is. So this is a really important part. I see a lot of us as humans get stuck here. But that foundational acceptance, it's really just acknowledging and accepting that you can't control a situation or your partner. And it's leaning into what you only can control and accepting all the hard emotions that come along with that. It's about staying in the present moment with what is, not what you think should be or supposed to be. This really brings you out of denial and into some more clarity. And then that transformational acceptance is a deeper stage, and it goes beyond the understanding of the situation. This is what moves you towards that personal growth. So look at it like, I'm accepting all of these things outside of me that I can't control. And I'm accepting a little bit of what I'm noticing in my body. And I'm like breathing a little bit more here. This transformational is like turning it towards yourself. Okay. You're turning towards you here. And maybe you've tried like therapy, couples, individual coaching groups, separation. Maybe you've tried all these things, right? But the pattern of the toxic relationship just keeps repeating over and over and over. And so this transformational acceptance is really accepting the pattern and that it's repeating, and that despite your best efforts, you can't control, cure, or fix your partner. It's also having a lot of self-compassion for yourself. As you take one step at a time, you do begin to transform and not just accept that you can't control your partner, but you will start to feel the relief when you let go of that. It's that buzz, that video that Roxanne showed, right? It's that, oh my gosh, no. And as soon as that kid went down the slope, it was like the relief. Oh, okay, that feels so much better. It just physiologically works that way. Okay. And again, this isn't just accepting that you don't know what your future holds. You actually start visualizing a healthy you. It's letting go of more and more of that self-judgment, shame, and blame. And in this transformational acceptance becomes a little bit easier to hold the boundaries. And so going back to the tree, you start to kind of reclaim your power that your roots are giving you. Your tree starts to stand a little taller and you're starting to sprout some branches. And I loved this picture because for me, this picture of the tree represents like those decisions that you start to take and practice and try as an agent unto yourself. When you start to become that chooser in your life, then new growth happens. When you start choosing to be in the present moment, you start creating these new branches. And I love to, I think I did a podcast episode on this one. So this kind of came to me when I was out in my kayak and I was looking at this crazy old tree. And I'm looking at how many branches. And I'm like, what if every branch represented a choice? And how beautiful is that to consider that, like, like I'm looking at this, oh, we're making some choices and then, oh, we're going to go back this way. And oh, we're making some choices and then we're going to change your mind. Because Vicky Tibble Palmer, you have the right to change your dang mind. I added the dang in there, but you have the right to change your mind. And so what I love about that is letting yourself grow branches by making choices because there are yours to make and only yours to make, which leads to the last pillar. The aspen's tree growth and direction are influenced by the way it extends its branches, right? And your agency is manifested through the choices you make in response to your emotions, thoughts, and higher self, your root system, AKA your value system, your core beliefs and perceptions. So agency is the superpower, or as I call it, agent power mode. This is conscious choice. This is empowerment. And so in situations that you don't have power in or where there was power over and you were acted upon, agency gives you the empowerment to choose how you will now experience that situation. And when you choose for yourself with the power you already have, by the way, it starts to change the energy from more of that catabolic weighing down to anabolic lifting up. And it is a physiological shift. And your branches grow. Those choices, when aligned with your root system, they start to grow stronger and stronger as you practice and practice. And that is truly what this is about. It is not about perfect. It is only about practice. I don't believe in an arrival. I don't believe, and I will never say to my clients, you're almost there, you're almost healed. I don't believe it works that way because, and I know they're probably like, wait, don't tell me that. But here's the thing. If we think there's an arrival, then you start hustling for that. And you stop being in the present moment and actually stop being in conscious choice. So when you give yourself a freaking break and slow it down and know that that post-traumatic growth, right, is always growing and always learning, just like these trees. They're always growing and changing and shifting and blooming and being seasonal. And so are we. You can change your mind and create a new branch over and over and over again. Agency is the ability to make those internal choices and take the actions that are aligned with your values, root system, and create the change that you desire. That is in your realm of control. You have to choose it in order to change it. This results in decision making from clarity, more confidence. Your choices will be informed because you're going to spend time in awareness and you're just going to get curious and interesting about all of it. So when you hit this pillar of agency, you're coming at that very aware of information outside of you and information inside of you. So agency is going to build that resilience because, yeah, our scariest scariest word here. Okay, here's your warning. I'm giving you your warning. I'm going to talk about that D word. Okay, for those of you who are scared about the possibility of divorce or are already in the middle of this, there's a lot of fears. There's a lot of fears around your future. And of course there are. No one wants to choose this option. And again, in some cases of betrayal and abuse, the choice is being made for you. But we can apply these three principles when you feel stuck. Anytime you feel stuck, go back to awareness and spend some time there. Perhaps you know that like you need to move forward and you're just not sure how. So again, awareness, become aware of the legal process, maybe call a free consult lawyer, maybe ask them all the questions that your brain's freaking out over and thinks is going to happen. And you just calm the brain down because you get answers. Doesn't mean you have to do anything about it. We're only in awareness. Maybe accept the answer of what you are to do is only yours, like to make. Like you can't accept that you have to only be in charge of you. You cannot be in charge of this other human brain that you really want to be. Transformative acceptance, maybe accepting that your lifestyle might change, friends change, home might change. But in this transformative acceptance, you might be looking forward to a healthy change that supports your desire to be a healthy individual. One of the best choices I made that helped me to have an empowered divorce was to choose me, to love me, value me, validate me, hear me, see me first. First. Numero uno. I had to do that because it made space for me to access my root system, to accept my reality and make conscious choices to choose what was right for me right now. It made space for me to recognize my values, my higher power, and the branches on my tree that I wanted to create. It was not void of the pain, the hurt, and the sadness, and oh my gosh, the intense grief. But as I continued to practice, it did get less intense, and I know it can for you too. So when you've exhausted all of your options and you're wondering what to do next, I hope that whatever you choose with empowerment and know that you are worth healthy and that you always have options and you don't have to know how it's all going to end up because every choice adds a beautiful branch to your tree. So we're just going to take it one step at a time. And know, like, I love this question. What is my next right step right now? Not 10 years from now, maybe not even a week, just in this next hour. Some of you might be in an hour by hour, day by day. That's a beautiful place to start. Okay, before I go, I want to give you a freebie. So I created a workbook for you all that has these 3 pillars in it. Excuse me. And it has worksheets to kind of help you get a little bit more curious. Do some journaling, write down some thoughts that are coming up for you. So if you scan this QR code right here, that will give you the link to this free workbook. If you want to follow me and find other resources that I offer, the Empowered Divorce Podcast, which has a lot on there too about like when you're in that should I stay or should I go? But anyways, other resources are right here. You can scan that QR code. But thank you very much, you all, for joining me and being with me. I really hope that you feel validated and heard and just know that you're not alone in this journey.
Amie, thank you so, so much. That was so beautifully stated. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. It just felt so warm, and for us to see you and your blossoming experience, that I know the ones that your clients experience in working with you as well. And also we're going to have a chat about aspen trees sometime, because I'm like a total aspen tree nerd. Is that a thing? It is a thing.
It's gotta be a thing.
It's gotta be a thing. So I don't see any questions in the chat yet. We've got a couple more minutes before our next presentation. I did want to, if we can, if you're okay with it, I jotted some notes down.
For sure.
So, and maybe these are more just voices from clients past who I could hear asking these questions, So, that story that you told of just falling into your family's arms and feeling safe, I think is so beautiful, and also not a privilege that everyone experiences, right? And you know this well. And I wonder what advice you'd have. I know working with lots of clients from different backgrounds and experiences who maybe don't have a family system or a religious system or whatever community that is as open-armed and happy to scoop them up. Where could they and you briefly touched on this, but maybe just bring that out a little bit more. Where can they go to like tap into their roots in that first phase if they're like, but I don't have a family or friends, they're all just telling me what to do or telling me I'm doing the wrong thing, right? So what roots can they be tapping into?
Yeah, it's such a good question, and it does come up a lot, and it is, like I said, a lot of people lose what they wanted and who they wanted to be that support system,
Yeah, exactly.
as well. I mean, oh my gosh, the amount of friends that I lost.
Right.
Oh, all right, see ya. Um, and family that I thought would stand by me too. So that was hard, but like I mentioned, I really do believe that there are I don't like, I know different people come from different faith backgrounds, but I do believe that we do have people on the other side that we can't maybe tangibly see that do lift us up in those times when we look for it, when we ask for it, when we sense it and feel it. Um, I mean, that would be honestly like if I feel truly like I have nobody, I just
Yeah.
want you to know you do. Um,
Yeah.
I I know that there's a lot of people here I don't know. And so there's certain, experiences of my story that are very personal, but I have a very personal experience with knowing um, and feeling the presence of specific women in my family history that have been with me that I know
Yes.
lifted me up when I felt very alone. So um, that would probably be like the root of the root if you
And
truly
yeah,
feel like you have no one, right?
I love that. And part of what I've been talking about this week is kind of like finding your canon and your story and your heroine journey and seeking in your family history or even the history of your people, right? Are you Irish? Are you French? Find the history of your people and find those ancestral stories of heroines, especially if you're female, right? In this part and connecting there. And I love the concept, if you don't mind me adding a little bit, of common humanity, right? So even if it's not someone you know, it might, or an ancestor that you're related to, it might just be listening to us here today, watching this video, and then putting that in your brain. Like, I'm not alone. There's a human out there, and I'm going to reach out in spirit or whatever you want to say and pull in that energy of you're not alone. Just like you shared with us at the end, right? You're not alone. It's going to be okay. We've got you.
Yeah. No, it's
So I love
so
that.
that would be where I start. And then that second thing, kind of what I've talked about today, it's you're not alone, or when you feel alone, turning maybe to your roots, but also turning towards like you.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things to preface any statement that I make or any fear is if I could trust myself and know that I've got my back, then what?
What would I choose?
And I
Yeah.
love just doing that, right? Like, because sometimes you don't trust yourself and
Yeah.
it's hard. So let's just pretend. But
Right.
really, I call
But
this
what if,
the
right?
what if. I call this like you're giving a a backdoor question to your brain. Just
Right.
getting your brain to think a little bit differently when you frame it like, but if I could trust myself and if I have my own back, then what would be my next right step right now?
Yeah.
And just start writing and see what comes up. Again, you don't have to do, just get curious.
Just get curious. I
So
love
your
that.
root system and then trusting yourself, practicing to trust yourself. And then I really want to highlight what you said before too. Um, support groups. I have a divorce support group of
Mm-hmm.
women who are kind of either like, I'm on my way out or I'm out. Listening to other women who are similar. In fact, it's why I did my Empowered Divorce podcast because I have other women's stories on there And because I wanted women to be able to go if they don't want to have their face seen just yet,
Yeah.
to go and hear stories of other women who have been through it so that they can go, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy.
Yes, that I'm doing that too.
Yeah.
Exactly, because it's such a powerful route to ground into, right? Grounding, right? To have that reality of I'm okay, this makes sense, I'm not alone. And that's so valuable and important. And I have a lot of other things we could dig into, but we don't have time.
I know.
Thank you
It's fun.
so much, Amie, for joining us here at the Love
Thanks
You Now
for
conference.
asking.
And I'm like you now. We could do that too, right? Some of us are like, have neutral with myself now conference. And we're gonna call that total progress. I lived in that for a long time.
Thank you
But
so much,
thank you for
everyone.
joining us. And to all those who are tuning in, I highly recommend that you do. We are going to log out just for the computer's sake. Then we'll log back in, and we are going to be hearing from Vanessa Cardenas, high power woman and tons of experience and education. She's going to be talking about when men are betrayed and that experience. If you're not a man or you don't know who a man who's betrayed, you can still join in and listen in. It's going to be applicable in different ways, and it may strike you different than you've heard it, but join with us. Thank you again, Amie, and we will see you guys in a minute. Bye-bye.